Welcome to Blues Creek Guitars. We're going to be bending a cutaway set, and this wood happens to be Mutenye. Mutenye is in the family of ovencal, and it bends very similar to most rosewoods. There's nothing about it that is super secret. We will be using the new PID controller on the bending machine. It's not a big deal. I'm still using my story pole. The one thing that I'm going to be doing different, you can see I can take my cutaway ram and that's going to hang out over the edge. We won't be using a hold down on the front, but we will be using a hold down on the back. I will be using weights. I really am into using the weights. I think that they help a lot. So, with the unit plugged in, this is the thermocouple. That's going to read the temperature. It is underneath the top blanket, and it's on top of the top slat. Do not put it against the wood. I set my timer for 15 minutes, and you're going to watch the heat cycle begin. I will be using hold down, and that's for the back end. So as the temperature comes up, you'll see this bending process. Okay, this is, as I said before, Mutenye. It is for 000 OM, and it is a cutaway. We're actually going to be making a bass guitar. That's going to be something interesting. I'll let you know if it works out. So you can see the temperature is rising. You can see that the weight is doing its job of keeping everything in contact. I'm also going to build a little stack right here in the front so that this will be level to the cutaway, so that when we start bending, this is going to hold everything in line so that the cutaway does not have a ripple in it. And you can see the temperature is climbing. We've now been about a minute and a half into the cycle. Anyway, I do want to tell you I do use ammonia, basically Windex with ammonia D. My thickness is 0.075 inch. I'm not sure, but I think it's like 2.8 millimeter. I do have my sides pre-shaped for the bend, and you can see the temperature is now hitting my bending point. So I generally start bending the lower bout at about 220 degrees. Most woods will bend relatively easy there. You could tell how the weight was coming down. I'm going to bring the waist down, but I'm leaving about an inch. And then I am going to be bending the upper bout at 250. 250 I'm bending, and if you take notice, once I start bending, I don't stop. So here we go. The next crack will be my neck. So you can see how everything's starting to pull onto the pattern. That is pretty much done. I can take this out now. That works like a third hand. Now you're on the waist down. And before we used to have to do all these little things with the analog system. Basically 285 degrees is where I want to be. The PID controller has a 5-degree turn-off limit, so once it hits 290 it turns off, and you'll see these little lights working, and that's telling me where I need to be. So this is just going to hold this in that 285 degree position. You'll see it go up and back and forth. You can see this. This is telling me there's still moisture in there, and that the moisture is actually cooling the wood down. So everything's working. You can see the timer's working. So that's going to shut off at 15 minutes, and that's just going to hold me there in that 285 degree range. If I move this one way or the other, you'll see temperatures rising a little bit and going back a little bit. That's typical and normal. So now we're just going to let it time out. So we got done bending the Mutenye. It went through the heat cycle. It is now room temperature, maybe a little bit warmer than room temperature, but don't pull them out while they're hot. They'll spring back on you. What's tricky about a cutaway, loosen this up a little bit. take the waist up. If you don't do that, you get a reverse spring from the slats, and they can crack your side. So you see how I'm holding this down? God gave us a belly for a reason. Now I pop the waist out. Now everything is somewhat a little bit less stressed. I can gently push this ahead, get the pin out. Now I can lift this up and slide this down, and there we go. The sides are free from the bender, and we don't want to force them out. And as you can see, we have a cutaway side, and it's actually the way it belongs. This side's the top, that makes it the belly button there. So there we go. From my shop to yours, Cutaway, Mutenye. Stay well.